Ladies and gentlemen, please pray silence for our next keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, is a member of the House of Lords UK, Lord Bhikhu Parekh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Can you feel me? Well, your response provoked a thought in my mind. If somebody is blind, our response to him is one of sympathy, kindness, compassion. If somebody is deaf, they think he is dumb, he is not right. Why? Why does one sense provoke or evoke compassion, kindness, then the eyes? The ears, the loss of ears, and people are not going to show much sympathy. In fact, every time they have to shout or raise their voice, they will say, "Oh, bloody hell, can't that talk to an intelligent man?" I'm convinced that I'm going to talk to a very intelligent audience. I was talking about two things that I'm going briefly to discuss. Trump has threatened Iran with one attempt to wipe it out from the face of the earth. I can't remember any incident in human history where somebody has done this. Not just wiping out people, which is genocide, we have got as far as that, but wiping out a civilization, which means not only the one that exists, the one that has preceded it, the entire history of Egyptian civilization, the pharaohs, the language. How could somebody dream of saying that if you don't give me what I asked for, I'll wipe you out, and you know that this will be one day's job for me. It might take other people days and months, I will finish it off in one day. Iran has to consider its response. Supposing I ask myself, supposing Iran were to say, sorry, we are not going to bow down to that kind of blackmail. You will take away our civilization and we'll see what happens. Could we have done this? Could Trump have had the courage, the honors to do it? And supposing he had that cigar in your touch, what would we have thought of the man who would condemn a whole human civilization to this kind of history? All this in the name of the United States. And when Trump is saying this, he's talking about the American interest. And American interest requires that oil and other things be given, or else, like war with Iran, and since the war drags on, finish it quickly, in one night, and that part of the world no longer exists. I find it not only repulsive, not only deeply offensive, simply savage, inhuman. And I ask myself, if this man is saying this in the name of his own countrymen, and our country requires this to happen, doesn't every American have a duty to say to him, to make it clear to him that they do not share this idea of this? That they find this whole way of thinking, wiping out the country, wiping out the civilization, that every American feels that this is utterly idiotic, inhuman, savage. There is no vocabulary for this. Savage. And if this is being said in the name of the United States, in the name of the American people, then American people have a responsibility. Having elected him, having tolerated him, having allowed him to speak his mind freely, and this is what he speaks. I should have thought, much as I love the United States, I've been a privilege to teach at various universities, including Harvard, I can say this. If I were an American, I would feel guilty. Through letters or telephones or whatever, let it be known to the entire world that we Americans don't share this idiotic, repulsive sentiment. Americans, how can any American, decent American, tolerate something being said in their way? And this is being said not only by some few people here, but the entire humanity. So my first point, and I could go on with my first point, and I have attempted from time to time to write in the American press or write in the British press, what is the relation between the citizens and the president when the president speaks in this repulsive manner? What is the relationship? The citizen has to stand up and say, look, I don't live in this nation. I don't share this. And making it clear, abundantly clear. And I personally think that American people owe it to themselves to make it absolutely clear. The second thing I want to talk about very briefly is the state of the world and how nationalist movements are bringing up around the world. Globalization is a very important event of our times. Globalization is not new. Man's contact with his fellow human beings thousands of miles away have gone on for centuries. That's how Christianity spread. That's how Buddhism spread. That's how trade spread. Given that this is so, globalization is not entirely new, because universal contacts between men have always existed, but it's a different kind of universality, where people become interdependent, where interests are interwoven, and travel in one part of the world, spends travel in some other. Now this kind of global intimacy is independent. Right. What globalization means. Globalization has its advantages. It makes things available cheaper. It allows different languages and cultures and civilizations to mix. All kinds of economy. But it also has disadvantages. Very severe. It dismantles global economy, global industry. It creates local cultures undermined. And people begin to fear that they are losing control over their own lives. And this is a legitimate fear, because it's a fear. Genuinely, born out of experience. And people say, look, we have been, state has no power, the state is subject to all kinds of restrictions from foreign organizations of which it's a member. So given that democracy doesn't work, because our government doesn't work as well, given that other methods won't work, we, the people of this country, need protection and support from our state. But the state is innocence. Look, I can't help you because you can't do something with democracy. We have conflict. A strange conflict in human history between two different aspects of democracy. Democracy is letting people do what they want to do, yes, but also institutionalized system, where people's wishes are restrained. So since people are unable to persuade the state or force the state to change its ways, they feel they are being invaded as an alien nation. Inability is the obvious symbol, but it's not the only one. Given that this is so, what do? You panic. You force the government. You react against the government. Vote for some absurd political parties. Only you won't even take a second look. And you have a strange situation of nationalist movement springing up right at the heart of globalization. Globalization is supposed to take us beyond nationalism. Instead, nationalism becomes a defense reaction against globalization. And we see the consequences. And the question is how you handle this. All our institutions are in crisis. Democracy is in crisis because people feel they have no control over their affairs. Parliament is in crisis because we have no means of mobilizing public opinion. Given all this, what do we do? My problem is, my question to you is, before you call me, think of what you can do to handle this tension between nationalism and globalization. And it's also the first point I made about responsibility. Many people being able to, or many people being able to make it. One Prime Minister says, listen, I can't hold civilization. You can remind me of certain characters in the Hindu Valley of Mahabharata. Homer says that